Hey, I'm Dana DiLorenzo, and you're you. And these guys, well, they're them. And who are they? Well, you're listening to them. You're listening to the Suns and Shadows podcast. Subscribe and listen, or else.
Welcome back to the Suns and Shadows cast. We are that podcast that dives into the lost, forgotten, and canceled television shows. Hey, we got a good one this time. We're going Terminator style. We're your party hosts, and we have a great one for you. I am Cyberdyne Systems Model JED209.
And I am Cyberdyne System Model KCS 328.
328, very nice. And well, we sent his sorry ass into another timeline. His services were best suited for future endeavorment, so he will not be joining us.
We sent him to go get Ecto Cooler.
God damn it, he's never gonna find it. Kevin, did you ever watch this one back when it first came out?
I did. I haven't seen most of the last few episodes that we've done, but this one I did see. I was super interested in it from the moment that the trailers came out.
Yeah.
Because again, I just come off of seeing T3, which was absolutely horrible, but I was really like morbidly curious what Fox TV would do with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like steady TV quite yet, but I did catch the first couple episodes of this, and I was truly blown away by how good it was.
Yeah, I totally can see that. I remember I did watch the first season when it first came out. I don't know what happened with the second season, but we'll get to that eventually here. But I do remember like the trailers, and I'm like, is this really going to work? Hey, wait, that's Summer Glau. Ooh, I am totally checking this out. At this time, I didn't really know like Lena Headey. I didn't really know Thomas Dekker, the eventual, stars of their show here, who are going to be playing like, John Connor and his mom. It's like, I don't know those names. Okay, whatever. Oh, Summer Glau from Firefly. I'm in. And then you started seeing footage and everything, and it's like, that's pretty interesting. This could work, but it could also not work. How much in the horror are they going to jump into? How much of the sci-fi are they going to get into? Like, really, what can you do with this franchise as a TV entry? I could see it maybe as like a comic book series. I could see this as an animated series. I could see this as a video game series. At the time, I was a Sega guy, and years prior, they came out with like RoboCop versus Terminator on Game Gear, and I totally love that game. So shout out for our video game friends out there. But when this was coming out, I was optimistically excited for this show, and I also knew it was on Fox, so I was also cautiously optimistic about this show on Fox and how long it would truly last. And when its 9th episode aired and came and went, I'm thinking, we're probably done with this show. And I was pleasantly surprised to be wrong. But I dug this show, and we just rewatched it again for this episode. I feel like I don't remember the first season as well as I thought I did. Apparently, I haven't watched this show enough, so there was times I'm thinking, God, I don't remember that happening. Wait, what? Did I even see this episode? So I'm kind of wondering, like, because I only watched this when it like aired. I have the Blu-rays, but I never really watched much of them other than like the first episode, like a few times here and there. But I never went all the way through the rest of the season. But I don't know. I had a good time watching this one again, and definitely jostled my memory as to the quality this show was.
I always meant to go back and get the physical media, because I know I hadn't seen the entire season, and I saw nothing of season 2. So that's going to be all a clean slate starting from tomorrow. But I knew I liked it. It was kind of like one of those things where I just immediately said, you know what? If we're going to cover Tremors, I'm just going to buy the DVD. Because I knew I was going to end up liking it one way or the other.
Right.
And I knew I liked this, which never got around to buying it. And I feel like a horse's ass. Fortunately, it's available on Hulu.
Yeah.
Which both seasons completely are on Hulu, which is not always the case for Hulu.
This is very true.
Yeah, we found that out with The Exorcist, didn't we? Or was it something else?
Yeah, we did. Season 1 was there, but season 2 was on Prime.
That's right. But no, I really liked going back and watching this again. I liked putting the pieces together of why certain things happened that I missed previously. But honestly, I don't really recall much of seeing but bits and pieces beyond the first two episodes.
Okay.
So a lot of this was like seeing it fresh for the first time, and it was really neat.
Right.
There were times where I was kind of like wanting to roll my eyes, but then really curious, wanting to see how it was going to play out, because they
Yeah.
do a lot of callbacks to T2.
And a couple to T1 as well that I'm like, I just watched T1. Wait a minute. This is smart. Why did I not catch this before?
Yeah, like so for people listening at home, if you're a fan of the Terminator series, like they get good, great, mediocre, and bad from the west, like the waist down. Like the Terminator series kind of fizzled out no matter how many times they tried to reboot it.
Oh God, which is like every single time since like the second one.
What were we saying? Like there's 6, 7 of them at this point now?
There are 6, and so I basically agree with your assessment. I feel like 4 is a little bit better than most people realize, but it's still not as good as it should be, considering it had like Christian Bale in it and everything. Of course, everybody knows the infamous Christian Bale's meltdown from that, but I didn't think 4 was really that bad. I actually like that one. 3 is a bit, if you liked it when it first came out, that's one thing, but it doesn't season well with age. That's one that just repeat viewings, you start to be like, wait, this is stupid. No, I don't like this. When it gets to like Genesis, they did a complete reboot. Then they go back to Dark Fate, which is part 6, which is a complete kind of reset to back to just Terminator 1 and 2. And it doesn't quite work. I've only seen like parts of it. I couldn't make it through part 6 like at all. I'm sorry. I have nothing against Linda Hamilton. I have nothing against like the cast, but what they did with that story just was like, I was not feeling it at all.
No, and I'm the same way, and Maynard flicks me shit for it all the time still. Like I gave the movie what I call my fair shake, which is a little over 3 minutes. And it took about 5 minutes for me to be like, this is the fucking biggest pile of shit I've ever fucking seen. Click. Never went back to it again. Like the first 5 minutes was enough for me to be like, I don't like this. Because
Right.
I had already seen this TV show. And the TV show is so much better than anything else they tried to do. It was smart. It was in continuity with the first 2 movies.
Right.
Like that's not the way it happened. Like they stuck pretty well to everything.
Yes.
I mean, granted, they had to reshoot certain things like the asylum scenes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the asylum scenes with Lena Headey.
Yeah, but otherwise, like this was done really well. And that's the fun thing that we kind of learned from watching Brimstone. You don't have as much of a gamble making a movie, I don't think, because movies are very good at making their money back in a certain way.
In some ways, yes.
Yeah, TV shows, the sword of Damocles is always hanging over your fucking head.
Yes.
Especially since 2008. But I mean, at Fox, it's a long-standing tradition that you can get fired or canceled for having high ratings or low ratings or any kind of ratings.
And for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be ratings, but that's the official story anyway. It's ratings. Just ask. I forget their names. It's escaping me, but Space Above and Beyond. They technically had a second season order for that show, and it got canceled at the last minute. And the official line was ratings, but it's really not ratings. The ratings were just fine for Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah, kind of like with Stars and Ash versus Evil Dead ratings and piracy. Really? Because if the ratings were that low, people wouldn't be fucking pirating it.
Make your show a little more accessible, and Fox actually market your shows.
Oh God, yeah. Outside of cartoon or animation domination.
Yeah, right. Because when this came out, I actually do remember a commercial here and there, but it's actually not during what you would think. My dad is a big NASCAR guy, therefore I know enough about NASCAR, so I watch it with him whenever we're around. And I would remember seeing a commercial here and there about newest episodes, but Can anybody actually pinpoint that? Did they actually promote the show during, like, say, football? Because, or anything like baseball. I can only attest to NASCAR because watching baseball games, I never really saw commercials on Fox for Terminator, the TV show. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna market it, you need to market the fuck out of your show. Because if you're not gonna put the effort in, then why did you even put the show on your network?
Quick returns. I don't know. I
Or
honestly
change in
don't know.
management, or somebody made a decision on, no, we have, this is X amount, we don't want to hog up all of our prime commercial times, that we can get from actual paying people, not promote our stuff. We just want to promote X-Files. We just want to promote, these two other shows, whatever, and be on our way, or stick to animation domination and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whatever. I'm making that up. That's not where it was at, but the marketing, that gets me every time. It's like, you see it when when they really get behind a show, you see that commercial everywhere. You see everything everywhere. When they're not really behind it, you don't really find it. You just don't.
No, I mean it's really going to depend upon what you're watching and what time you're watching it, whether or not you're going to see certain ads for their shows. Products, sure, you'll see plenty of those fucking commercials repeating, but their own product, no, not so much. Fox has always been really bad at that.
Yeah, unless it's like SmackDown or football, forget it.
You know what? I don't think I ever watched, or yeah, I didn't watch Fox when SmackDown was on there, so I don't know. Did they promote
Well, it's
them
on
well?
there now.
Oh, okay. So I guess I could go back and start watching that on Hulu. Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
is it on Peacock? No, Raw is on Peacock.
It gets confusing with the wrestling talk.
But back to
This show made
Terminator.
more sense with its timelines and antics going on than any of that ever could.
Well, yeah, there are a few like loopholes in this, like John's age.
Yeah.
Because they talk about the first night being in 1984, and then T2 happens in what, 92? John's about freshman, sophomore age at that point.
Yeah.
And then he's still like a junior or senior in this that's supposed to be in 1989. So that would probably be the teenager student aspect of it is the only thing I did not particularly like care for in this series. It
He's
didn't make
supposed to be
sense to me.
24 in the show after they jump through time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he says he's technically 24,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he's still only like 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to further prove your point. Yeah.
But I mean, getting past that, it's still fun. It's still smart. I don't know why the dates were wrong. It doesn't really matter because the substance was still there. Like everything that could have been a loose end from T2 really gets folded back into this neatly, starting with her friend in Mexico, Enrique.
Yes.
You get a little bit more backstory as to what happened between T1 and T2, and then what happened after T2, after she leaves with I want to say Edward, when she leaves with John and the Terminator.
Right.
So, I mean, that was really nice to go back and see, or to see that character again. And then towards the end, like you're sitting there going, well, they keep making all these references to Pescadero. The obvious question is where's Dr. Silverman? And yeah, they even brought him back, and
they found his ass.
Yeah, and clearly the gentleman that played Dr. Silverman passed away some years ago. So, like, who could you get to replace an actor like that? They got Bruce Davison.
That's what I was about to say. Is they brought in the big gun.
Wow, like I saw the back of his head during in the interview where they don't show his face, and you could tell it was him. Like I was really crossing my fingers because it looked just like it was his hair color, same shape head, and then yeah, it was him. It was Senator Kelly. So he did really well, and he was probably the most surprising character in the whole damn series.
Well, that, and you end up seeing like he actually bought into everything after the events of T2. Like, oh yeah, they're out there. They're coming to kill
Yes.
us all. And he was just so giddy with excitement, like, yeah.
And then what he does to the fucking Agent Ellison that's on Sarah and John's trail for like 8 years or however long.
You know,
He thinks he could be a Terminator. So I mean, at least Silverman's thinking correctly, but he stabs him in the fucking leg with like a 6-inch long pocket knife just to make sure.
you can never be sure.
You could rub a fucking like I don't know, magnet over his knee, a metal
Yeah.
detector. Those are fairly cheap. You can get those at ball games. But yeah, Ellison ends up fucking committing or having Dr. Silverman committed, and he gets put in Sarah's old fucking room.
Which I thought was fantastic. That's a nice little bit of irony. I'm sure that was done completely on purpose, just for that. And I completely love that. And you bring up like, him restraining Ellison because he thought he was like the Terminator. My first opinion was if he was the Terminator, you would already be dead. He would not allow himself to be restrained in a chair.
Yeah, kind of like, and if he really wanted to, he could have just gotten up. Like,
Yeah. It just
would have
tells you
been
how
no
far
thing.
gone he was mentally. Like he had some faculties going on, but he was not there.
I'm
Sarah
sure.
took the hand and he was so happy at that. Like, yeah, I saw Sarah again. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh dude.
well, it's validating everything that he was trying to logistically tell himself wasn't true, but he knows that he saw. Like they slightly touch on that in part three, where like
A
he's
little bit, yeah.
talking about how it sounds convincing, and then you think this, and then like Silverman goes off on this trail like Mike Nelson would, like having a flashback. So I mean, this was a great portrayal of Silverman. It was a very surprising portrayal of Enrique, though. Like he was living the high life, not in the little gun
Yeah.
fields in Mexico. Well, he was what? He was an FBI informant at this point.
FBI informant, even though he kept trying to downplay that a little bit and he wasn't telling the truth about it. But quick little aside, that is Master Braytac from Stargate SG-1. So any of you Stargate fans who never saw a Terminator, Master Braytac is in this show, albeit briefly. He does not last long in this show. He lasts a couple of episodes.
Very few people last very long in this series. That's not part of the core cast. Like
Won't get attached to anybody in this show.
no, and they have plenty of moments that will make you kind of want to eye roll because it's TV and it's tacky and it's silly, but it all ends up working really well. And I think the biggest one that like I probably felt the ping of my eyes in the back of my head, they were rolling so hard.
What do
when
you
you
got?
when you see the person that they think could be a Terminator or one of the future fighters, and it turns out to be Derek Reese.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then Derek Reese is Brian Austin Green.
That's the thing that got me. I didn't mind so much that, Derek Reese is the brother and one of the fighters. I'm like, okay, I can kind of buy that, even though we never heard a mention of it before, like
Yeah.
ever. But hey, it's a TV show. We gotta keep things a little spiced up and fresh here. But when I realized it was Brian Austin Green, I'm like, I don't know if I buy this entirely. He's not the first person I think of, and I'm not saying I don't like the actor. I grew up with Beverly Hills 90210, so I know all about Brian Austin Green.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite buying him for the role. I think towards the end of the show, I was feeling a little bit better about it because of the moment he took John to the park for his birthday
Yeah.
to have him meet his dad at a young age. And that's also when the revelation came around that, yeah, I know you're my nephew. I'm not fucking dumb. And that's what kind of brought me back to like, okay, I don't mind this now, but for a couple of episodes here, I wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, I was pretty certain that he was a spy and that Charlie's wife is a Terminator.
Ooh, that's a thought.
Charlie's wife, I'm almost certain, would end up being a Terminator. Like
You
that
think
would
she's
be.
like a sleeper model where she's not fully engaged yet? Because that's how they played that one other story was like, how is he a Terminator? And she didn't know. Well, maybe his programming didn't kick until a certain incident happened.
She might be like really boring and into robot type stuff, like lack of spontaneity. I don't know.
Or maybe he likes Terminators and he likes, future freedom fighters, kick-ass women. You know,
Kick-ass women.
he's got a type. Woman who can kick his ass. Hey, no king shaming here. Just saying.
No. Don't mind me getting slapped in the face. No,
Well, that's also what they named in Terminator 3 was that the fan name where they called her the Terminatrix?
yes. No, that's what they called her.
Oh, okay. I couldn't quite remember. I didn't look that up, so.
Yeah, no, that's what they called her. Like in the movie was the Terminatrix. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's so
At the time, I
stupid.
didn't think it was bad, but upon reflection in hindsight, I don't like it. But although Summer Glau could be definitely my kind of Terminator if she was going to do that sort of thing.
She was so good as a Terminator.
She was great, dude. Oh, Summer Glau was fantastic as Cameron, which I totally appreciated the name reference.
Yeah, I guess so.
I liked it.
I want to like John Cameron or James Cameron more than I do, but I don't. Like I respect him a great deal, but he left us after True Lies. Like he left us.
I like him. He's a very fine director. Not all of his movies work for me though, especially after True Lies. Like you said, Avatar I don't mind too much, but I don't exactly love it. I will eventually see the second one. But like I said in our Terminator movie review, I'd like to see him come back and do a full through Terminator movie, or he could do a new Piranha movie as his last feature film.
Dope.
Even though he got fired from his very first feature, Piranha 2,
Corman fired him?
Yeah, he got fired at the end.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Poor dude, like God,
poor bastard.
Corman just let him finish, but Cameron has given us plenty of wonderful movies for part of his career. We could say the same thing about other directors like John Carpenter. Like the second he did Vampires, that's the end of his film career after that. Like, yeah, he's done more, but none of them have really been very good.
I want to say I really, really liked Vampires, and I'm nodding my head yes on camera, but you guys,
I see you.
It's not fashionable to be like, I love that James Woods movie.
I like that one. I don't love it though. Like I would watch it if it was on TV, but it's not one I'd put in my collection.
I really liked it, and it is in my collection.
Hey, so no shame in here. It's just opinions.
I read the book, I hated it, and I was like, the movie is so much cooler.
Maybe we can agree on Ghosts of Mars.
Yes. Yeah. That was pretty bad.
What was not bad? Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah. I liked this. Cameron was okay as the name, but Summer Glau was perfect as a Terminator.
Yeah.
Like she has that very blank, emotionless look, and she knows how to kill people already. So this was like very easy for her. Like if you've seen Serenity or Firefly, well, specifically that scene in Serenity where she just goes batshit crazy on the Reavers, this was just really good for her. And they let her do what she's good at. They let her dance. There's a couple scenes where she is learning to dance and what it means to dance.
The ballet, yeah.
Yeah, like you see Cameron starting to grow emotions a little bit. And I liked that. I always really did like that aspect of it. I liked her shooting Andy no, it wasn't Andy. Who did she shoot in the friggin' head? It was Enrique. She
Yeah,
shoots
Enrique.
Enrique.
She like smokes him. He's like, well, you
Oh,
wouldn't do it.
yeah, like Cameron is just like super dope. Like she'll tell Sarah either fix it or I will.
Yeah.
Because Sarah has this weird like Batman thing where you don't kill anyone. Like, it's
Or
okay
you
to kill
can't just kill anybody. Yeah.
it's okay to kill a couple people to save billions, like 3 billion people at once.
Yeah.
And especially if they deserve it. Like the skin doctor, the plastic surgeon that Cromartie went to get the skin put back on the face.
Yeah.
That was a mad scientist. I don't know if you caught that. Like he was like totally willing to help, not out of threat, but because of like abandoned responsibility and recklessness.
Well, morbid curiosity, like, oh, yes, I'm closing the door. I want to see how this works.
Yeah. And he lost his eyes for it.
Oh, hey, the Terminator had to see through human eyes.
Yeah. And, you know, the T888 that they have, Cromartie, is not bad. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger by any means,
Yeah.
but it's not bad. It's not better. It's not worse. It's his own thing. And he does it really well.
Yeah.
Like, I like the actor. I like the character for what it's not supposed to be. But then I think the last part that I was like, I really enjoyed was probably the ballpark scene, like you said,
Yeah.
where John got to meet his dad, where Brian tells him or Derek tells him, I'm not dumb. I see my brother every time I look at you. You know, that's one of the sweeter things that they do on this show. And what I was saying when we got cut off is that's where this show really excelled, where T2 did not really achieve greatness. T2 is a great action flick.
Oh, yeah.
Great special effects. It's really decent story, but all the characters lack substance. Like this was starting to be a part in the 90s where you lose character and you get more special effects. And it was still okay. But you see a defunct family in the Connors in this TV series. Not like in
Yes.
Roseanne, but like
The
Sarah
real
really
Connor family that we love. Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah is the mom of the future. She is the mom of the savior, but she also still wants to be a mom at the same time. And Lena really shows a hard time juggling that, and it makes it believable. They make Sarah human without making her look weak.
Well, I like how Derek described her. She's like, she's got the look of cold-blooded murder all the time, but there is a warm core in there. Like she is struggling to be your mom at the same time as trying to protect you and protect the future and try and stop all this bullshit.
Yeah. And the only person who like I really was just like screaming at the entire series was John.
Well, it carries along from what happened in T2 with Edward Furlong playing the same character. It's, there's an intelligence there, but it's not mature enough yet to
Correct.
really accept what they need to be doing. And, at that age, I mean, this is probably why the movie T2 blew up at the box office the way it did, is all of us kids were around the age when it came out. We saw ourselves as John Connor of like, God, how would we do this? Or no, he's doing what we would do too. He'd run around the mall and, be a complete moron and please don't kill my Terminator,
Don't kill my Terminator. I just
like
got
a
him.
puppy. Yeah, I just got him, Mom. Yeah, I'll take care of him. I promise. I'll oil up his chassis and keep his OS up to date.
I'll make sure he stays lubricated.
And I'll teach him very cool words like hasta mañana.
Oh God, that was hard to go over, but we'll get to that on Sunday.
Yeah.
But honestly, I liked Summer Glau as a killer in this more than I liked Arnold as the good guy in T2. And again, there was a little bit more depth. And the depth that you saw in T2 was John wanting to have a dad, but not able to get it from the Terminator, and the Terminator trying to explain that to him.
Right.
I know why you cry, and I can't do that.
Right. And
Whereas,
go ahead.
I was going to say, whereas Cameron in the same situation is like, here, I'll eat the pancake.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll take
growing.
one bite and I'm going to watch my weight. I don't want to
Right?
bulk up like Arnold.
Shit. But no, I mean, they added a human element to it. There's a little bit of cheese because there's not as much killing. There is just as much violence somehow,
Right.
but they did a really good job making it relatable. Like you'd said, John Connor was basically Robin to Batman in that movie.
Yeah.
A way for us to engage, go out and see, sell more tickets. And you don't get that so much here. Here I got more like, you don't like the Flash because it got so angsty towards like the fourth season.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that in this first season where I was kind of like, would he really be whining about this? Like, would he like risk all their lives because he doesn't want to change schools again?
Yeah, I don't know as far as like that goes. There was some elements of that. I'm like, yeah, this is probably the acquiescence to being on a network television program that you have to have something a little bit like this just to keep a story function going. Like he needs to show some room for growth. He's got to be a bit of a kid his age. He can't be like this totally militant kid because then how can you relate to that? You don't really relate to that. So as much as the show is named the Sarah Connor Chronicles, this was very much the Sarah and John Connor Chronicles, where, yeah, she's got her opening and ending narrations, where it closes out. So it's definitely her telling of the story, but it's also John growing from where we've seen him into what he should become. And hopefully, if the show had continued on long enough, we would have gotten that. We never got that out of the movies except for future John. So we never saw that line up to being the leader of the resistance.
Do you see future John beyond T2?
Well, Terminator 4, he's a bit more adult as Christian Bale. 'Cause he's John Connor.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah. So that also might further explain the stress he had on him while he was shooting that movie, is he's assuming the mantle of John Connor in one of the biggest film franchises at that time.
He was already Batman, god damn it.
I know. Anyway, what I really liked was, just to carry on with Summer Glau just for a brief moment, is that, not only was she, relatable and she was a better version of what Arnold was being in T2, but she also had the gravitas to be, I'm still a machine. I'm still not telling you everything that I know. So there was enough like subterfuge and like subdued comments and hints here and there of like, I'm up to something that I can't tell you. Makes you wonder, is she doing this because of some programming, or is she doing this because she's got an overriding mission from future John that sent her back?
Right. Or like Derek says, maybe she's already turned bad and playing everybody to get to her end game.
Right. But then of course, final scene is her getting her ass blown up by the other T888.
No, that was the real guy, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
It was the guy that took the Turk.
Yeah, that they thought yeah.
Which, speaking of the Turk, we haven't really talked about that much. That was one of the things that I kind of had a problem with. Like, it was entertaining enough, but I didn't need to see Sarah like build a friendship with him or
with Andy.
Yeah, any sort of romance whatsoever. Like Sarah Connor or even just Cameron would have just immediately blown his fucking house up while he wasn't home.
Right.
Or Cameron would have just killed him because that's just what needed to have been done. So, I mean, you can't necessarily do that on the TV series because then you wouldn't have any fucking story for the next 3 episodes. But there were very few moments where it was outside of character, and that was one.
Right.
Where it was kind of like, eh. Now, the questioning whether or not Cameron's a good robot or a bad robot, or even Derek, whether or not he's good or bad, because that keeps you interested. Like, I want to find out. I want to see the second season to see if they address any of that shit.
Right.
But there was stuff that didn't get addressed. Like, when they took them, the Terminators took all the POWs down into this basement in the future. You hear this soft music, this piano music playing. Like, nobody was supposed to have come back there, but Derek did come back from there. And then everybody's getting chained down on like 3-foot long chains, but they're all lying flat down, face down, like in fear of being killed. Some of it was a little confusing.
Yeah,
But,
I think there was room for exploration of what was really going on with that because, yeah, they only focused on that for about like an episode with the future flashes. And even I'm like, what are they doing with them? Are they intentionally like leaving them chained up there until they do whatever else they're going to do and then just let them escape? Like, are they experimenting on everybody and monitoring how they're behaving?
anal probe.
Yeah,
But
that's why
yeah,
they were
'cause
on the ground like that. Yep.
that's they left them a hatchet to escape after the fact, didn't they?
Yeah, somebody left him a hatchet there.
Yeah,
Popular theory might be like John dropped it off for him, but if it was John, he would have rescued all of their asses.
you would think.
Yeah, but
But
yeah,
and the one thing that they completely abandoned, the one character they've completely abandoned from the Terminator 1 and 2 is Sarah's iguana. Like, what the fuck ever happened to her iguana? She was a pet owner. She has a lizard baby.
Well, she also had a shepherd at the end of part 1 as well, so she had a dog.
Well, that's true too. And they kind of, maybe the dog stayed with Enrique before it went up to the farm upstate. We'll just, yeah, that'll make me happier.
Okay,
Yeah, and I don't
we'll go
really
with that.
care for lizards, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself the entire weekend, whatever happened to the fucking iguana?
Yeah,
Like, that was one of the scariest damn things in the movie because I'm terrified of fucking giant lizards, terrified of small ones too.
Gojira, gotcha.
But no, I mean, all kidding aside, there are a few things that are left unexplained that I'd really like to know about. That I hope they touch on. I don't think that Brian Austin Green ends up being bad. The blonde
He's
girl,
up to something, but
yeah, the blonde girl that John meets and is interested in, her story with her dad and why she's so skittish is really kind of what I'm curious about, and I don't know why.
yeah, they were definitely building to something with that because episode 9 was not intended to be like the halfway point of the season. Most shows would go 10, 13 episodes, 12, 11. Around this time, shows are kind of more like 11 to 12 for a midpoint, but the writer's strike happened. And a lot of shows suffered from that, and a lot never bounced back from that. I know like Heroes was going on around this time. I think it was their second season, and they never really recovered from the writer's strike. Other shows just got outrightly canceled after that. And this definitely kind of had it seemed, well, not getting into season 2, but if you're just looking at these 9 episodes, it definitely felt like, you could end there and it's okay, but it definitely wasn't a more of a, didn't feel very complete as a finale if it would have left like that. And so how it ended, it definitely left room for where were you going to go for the next 3 to 4 episodes? Were you setting up for an even bigger cliffhanger going into your mid-season break? I don't know. Definitely felt good to me as a mid-season, break right there. But I think there was room for it to go. And I think when they came back for their second season, they just went, nope, we're off and running. We're not wasting time anymore. Let's just get to our story and no filler.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And because shit, I think they knew the writing was already on the wall. They were lucky to come back for that second season.
Well, the ratings were actually very good for season 1, like very good. So that's why they got renewed. Like Fox was like, oh shit, you actually are pulling in some good numbers in the key demographics that we want. So, okay, we'll get you a full season. When season 2 came around, I kind of remembered there was a change in management again. And people that came in weren't exactly keen on keeping the franchise around. And I think there was some pull that they wanted to bring Terminator back to the movies. It's too bad because, in my opinion, we had a great cast. and we had a great premise going and good momentum with this first season. I don't know. This had me begging for more and wanting some of those loose ends probably would have been tied up if we had a chance.
That would have been really preferable because this was interesting. Like it leaves you wanting to know.
Yes, it does.
Like I wanted to know why Ellison was spared. Why did Cromartie spare him?
Yeah, that is really bizarre. It almost feels like there's a tweak in programming going on, or if for some reason there's a programming in his head that is like RoboCop, like
if I work for Dick Jones.
Yep, you cannot arrest or pursue or kill like an OCP employee, and it's like maybe there's something going on with him that we don't know about. Maybe he ends up being the bad guy.
Yeah, he may not even know it at this point.
Or he's a Cyberdyne employee in the future, and nope, can't kill him because he actually plays a role in the future.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would have been really interesting to see. And I liked seeing Ellison come around.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. That was a great character arc.
I mean, Richard T. Jones doesn't get much better than him. I love him as an actor.
Awesome.
Like, he's never given a bad performance in anything I've seen.
No, dude's fantastic. And he killed it in this show. Like, all of the actors literally killed it in this show.
Yeah, like, he's supposed to be the same kind of detective that George C. Scott was supposed to be in Exorcist 3.
Right.
But really good at acting. Like, he was like a Columbo. Like, he was very charming with how he got about to get his answers and stuff. And until he got stabbed in the leg by Dr. Silberman, which even
crazy
then,
doctor.
Yeah, but I mean, even at that point, in his pursuit, it was no longer for his pursuit to know what happened.
Yeah,
it's his pursuit to, I think it's really just find his place in everything that's going on.
Right. Well, I also think he showed like how to handle being part of a government agency and something's happening and you're not 10 episodes later trying to figure out how the hell this happened. Why didn't I do anything to stop it? It's the second he found out that Kester was not who he said to be, that they were on his ass.
Yeah.
I liked that. It's like, oh God, thank you for not wasting my time.
And that scene, that final scene, the shootout, they did that very well, I thought.
I liked how they shot that and how they executed that. You didn't need the gunfire and people's arms blowing off and big explosions. It's the dropping of people in the pool from underneath. That shot was just like bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah.
With motherfucker.
Little bits of blood coming out when they'd fall and hit the water, and it was all set to Johnny Cash. So it was powerful, and my hat tips to them because again, it was supposed to be a very violent scene of like God knows how many people getting killed by one machine, and they managed to do what I think horror does best. The best type of horror thing does exceptionally well, and that's make you see the violence and the terror within yourself.
Right.
Because you could think of something twice as bad or graphic as what they could show you on the movie.
Yeah.
And here they had to fight the FCC. So how best to do it? With poetry, for lack of a better term. Like that scene was very poetic.
Well, it's also very creative. Like you have to get creative. It feels like this is where they started to get their footing as far as how can we do a little bit of horror and make this shit scary again. Like we have the sci-fi, we got the drama, we got the timelines, we got everything, but we're missing that dash of horror that we need. We need to keep that tension high, keep that stress high. How do we do that and actually, bring that in and have it be an actual part of the show? Because it's not X-Files, but goddamn, they did this, and it's like, oh, they finally figured out what they were doing with this show's identity as far as like including some horror in there. Because as the show progressed for 9 episodes, you saw them integrating more and more, getting a little more complex, more subplots, more timelines, more going into the future, dipping into the past, Asylum to future Derek, and Summer Glau, and I keep saying Summer, but Cameron, just all of these bits and pieces, just the branching of the tree as the story unfolds is just fantastic. And that also allows them to incorporate more of the horror, which I absolutely love. So, I mean, you can't go too scary, but hey, fuck it. They started to bring it.
Yeah, and they didn't have to put in nearly as much as they did. Like their budget, I'm sure, did not cover all the special effects that
No.
they could have put in. So there was a lot of latex used, a lot of old-fashioned latex prosthetics
Yeah.
that looked fucking fantastic. Do you know it's fake? Yes, of course. But if you grew up in the 80s, you like how that looks. It looked great.
They kept it very consistent. They did great.
And
And prosthetics and practical always works better than CGI. Always does.
yes. And for what you cannot show on TV, you can display with Foley's.
Yes.
And they had some of the gnarliest sounds on this TV show, like bones breaking, things getting stabbed, jugular veins being squirted out and shit. Like for what they could not show you visually, they made you get goosebumps and like your flesh crawl by having to hear it.
Yeah,
And
they
it
gave
was
you the
really
overall
good.
experience. They didn't rely on the visuals. They relied on everything else to do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I keep going back to it, but Ellison getting stabbed in the leg, the squishing sound, like
That was crazy. I'm like, did he really get stabbed, or did they stab like a piece of barbecue meat inside of like a pair of pants,
yeah, like I had my earbuds on watching it because my kids are all loud as shit. My wife was sitting right next to me, and I jumped, going, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I was watching it and I'm like, ooh.
It scared the hell out of her. I scared the hell out of myself, and she's like, "What the fuck is your problem?"
I'm watching Terminator, bitch.
I was like, "Dude just got stabbed right in the femur."
You would too.
Kinda like I had empathy pains.
Yep.
But no, the special effects, the one shot, and again, it's CG, but we're long past the point in the early 2000s and the late 90s where CG was just crap. It was now affordable for regular TV shows to have
Yep.
good CG, and those T800s or the triple eights. When Sarah has the vision of the bomb dropping on Judgment Day,
Yeah.
and you see, was it Cromartie or was it just a rando Terminator? But you see the flesh get peeled off of him and blown off of him in that nuclear blast.
Oh yeah.
And he's still standing there with the red glowing eyes and still moving completely unfazed. That was nightmarish. It was fucking rad. Like,
Yeah,
it
that
is the
opening scene,
things-
that was a different Cromartie though.
yeah, he had two different faces, didn't he?
Yeah.
Now that first scene where he stuck the gun in his fucking leg, kind of like a RoboCop holster, but
Yeah.
without the holster.
That wasn't lost on me. And then all the kids looking like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, like he gets the sewing needle or whatever the fuck it was, letter opener, like gouges
Yeah.
his fucking leg open to pull this pistol out and shoot at John.
That was funny.
It was kind of gross, but at the same time, you're like, if you were concerned about the metal detectors, what part of you didn't fucking set those off?
Well, and when they had Cameron go through that at the high school, it's like, oh, she's got a big metal plate in her head. And she's just staring like, yeah. So
And it was true. It was true. They really employed the law of Obi-Wan, and that's the truth from a certain point of view in the series.
this is not the Terminator you were looking for.
Yeah, right. Shit, they do stuff like that. Like John and Sarah can't be recognized by Terminators in 2008.
Yeah.
Because they weren't programmed to chase them. You're like,
yeah,
hey.
because they've infiltrated. There's more than just one Terminator around. There's more than one Resistance fighter around. They actually set up that whole mythology of there's Terminators setting stage for the future. They're preparing, like that one episode where there was enough metal for 500 endoskeletons, and they went into the bomb shelter military institution, and it's like, hey, they're fixing T3. They're doing a better T3 than T3 did.
Exactly. Well, that scene where he fucking picks up the big crate with the metal on it and just like tosses it in the other truck. I
Yeah.
was like, that's funny. Cheap effect, but that's cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they did get by with some cheap sort of things, but it worked for me. None of that bothered me like at all. I was completely entertained.
Yeah, I finished this really quick. I had
Yeah,
no
me too.
problems getting through this other than my kids being a pain in the ass. Like
Yeah.
I didn't need a break afterwards. I wasn't multitasking. I didn't want to multitask. I was
Yeah,
pretty
I did not.
intrigued.
Yeah, sometimes I can be on my phone during a show. It's like, well, if I've seen, like, say, Briscoe, I've seen this show like 12 times since it ever aired. I can kind of get by with doing a little research while I'm watching. It's still Briscoe related, but I can play it in the background. I kind of know what's up. With this, it's like, nope, I'm watching. And there was times I was putting notes down. I'm like, hey, I think I just watched like 4 episodes and I didn't write any notes down. I should probably go back and write some notes now.
One of my general rules is if MST has taught me anything, if there's a driving scene, you got 20 seconds to fast forward because that's all that it is like padding.
Yeah.
So, and
Manos is a perfect example of that, just saying.
yes, but they did do that quite a bit in this.
Or
Don't
rock
think,
climbing.
yes, there was a little bit of that as well, but there was a lot of stock footage of traffic in this. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did. All of the LA like traffic jams and power outages and everything. I'm like, okay, I have seen this before, but this is
Ed,
okay.
Ed Wood approves.
Hey, if you can use it. Don't be ashamed to use it. That's what it's there for. You don't always have to create new scenes. That's how you can save on the budget and have the special effects money accounted for. And another thing that they probably saved money on was they didn't have like this big long opening theme and credits into the show. It was basically what 40 seconds of basically her narration and then da da dun da 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 da
Yeah.
dun da da and then straight to the show. And you heard that at the beginning of our episode here because I throw that in with all of our episodes covering shows, but when it's that brief, you got that extra time for your actual product.
Yes. And that dun 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 dun, dun for as brief as they made that, it's iconic. It's another character just like Arnold is.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're watching a Terminator flick. It like you feel that in your arms and your heart, that fucking sound. Ever since T2, if you were in the theater and you saw it, like those speakers blared that music hard to the point where you heard that metallic sound, that banging in your chest, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, this is nostalgic of that. It's not as powerful as that version of the theme song. If you're old like us, it definitely brings it back for you.
Oh yeah, it got me excited for the next season. It got me excited for watching this show straight up. It got me excited for wanting to see T2 next.
Yes, like I know that there's going to be a T1000 that I really really like in the next season. Have not gotten to see any of that yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. For those who don't know, we'll just spoil it now. Shirley Manson is in season 2 and she's awesome. I don't know if she's awesome in the show, but she's awesome in person because yeah, she's awesome.
It's Shirley, damn it.
She's a dope ass singer and guitar player. But anyway, like that's probably where I'm sure where a lot of the budget went to in the second season as well.
Probably.
Which is fine. That's just fine. I'm like, a lot of the first season's budget probably went to Brian Austin Green.
Yeah, Lena Headey hadn't made quite the big name yet. I mean, she was a known name, but she wasn't like, oh, hey, this chick is placing Linda Hamilton. Who the hell is she? Well, after watching one season of this, she actually played a better Sarah Connor than Linda Hamilton did.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry about that. That's my hot take for this is I think she was a better Sarah Connor than Linda was.
Yes, she was.
Not first movie. I'm talking more T2 and like Dark Fate. That kind of Sarah Connor. This is the Sarah Connor that should have been carrying the franchise forward.
Yes. And that's with no disrespect to Linda Hamilton
No.
or the character that she created. She was portraying Sarah a certain way in each of those movies.
Yeah.
Lena portrays Sarah a little bit more realistic. She's a soldier, she's a mom, she is the whole package of Sarah Connor. Linda didn't bring that in either of the films as far as it being a whole package. A character that, yeah, that's how that would be. Like, Sarah is a soldier, but she's a mom first. And she shows that in this show.
Yeah.
And she tried to show it in T2, but they cut a lot of the scenes where she was doing that.
Yeah. They're setting her up for a different direction than what the show was ultimately going to do.
Yeah. So she's as badass as Linda was when she went to go shoot Miles Dyson.
Yes.
But she's not remotely as weak as Linda was when she went to go shoot Miles Dyson.
No, it felt like she had learned some lessons from those events and became a more complete, person set for the apocalypse.
Yeah, like John gets all angsty in the show about mom probably forgetting his birthday.
And of course she didn't. It's like, well, she's your mom, dude. She didn't forget your birthday. Like TV trope number 22, kid thinks mom or dad forgets birthday. By end of episode, they know that it's their birthday. It's like, whatever. I mean, what I liked is that they actually, kind of played with that a little bit, oh, well, Cameron knows your birthday and, but she's got to learn the lesson of what a birthday is. Oh, make her go get the cake. And then, Derek remembers it's his birthday and then mom remembers the birthday. It's like, no, everybody knows it's your birthday. Even though you're trying to get some computer stuff done.
Baby not get enough in detention. Baby not get a pony.
Well, look, I kept wondering, like, was he really going to get, what kind of gift did he really want? Because he made that comment a couple of times in that episode. It was like, I don't think anybody's going to get me anything. Well, your uncle got you a goddamn memory you will cherish for the rest of your goddamn miserable life, you little shit.
Yeah, you got.
And then your mom is not going to cook you dinner, so you will not die from her food poisoning. So
botulism, oh boy, my favorite.
Oh, that was great because he's like, you do, based on your cooking, we're going out.
Turkey surprise. Cook at 200 for 1 hour, leave outside and rub with the turtle.
Yep, pretty much. I think Cameron never came back with a cake, but
no. I almost want to start the next episode up when we're done here because I just want to see if she like gets out of the car and goes chasing after that fucker. Because yeah, I would.
She laid eyes on him, so she's ID'd him.
Yeah. And did they say who the guy that they killed was, or who he really was?
They mentioned the name, but my memory was shot on that. I'm like, hey, wait, what is going on here? Because then it was over like within like seconds, and I'm like, I didn't rewind it because I'm like, who, what the fuck? So
yeah, what was his name? Kardashian? No, that wasn't it. No. Kissinger? No. Come on, it's on here somewhere. I know I wrote it down.
Cassian or something? No, that's Andor. Sorry.
Chewbacca is a Wookiee. Okay, no, that's Silverman. I know I had it written down. There's my Mission Impossible comparison. Calling Cromarty Cro-Magnon. Sarkissian, not
Sarkissian. That's what I thought, Cassian. I'm like,
the name itself.
Some of the names are definitely creative.
Yeah, like there's the joke that he sounds. The name is Hungarian, so Cameron learns to speak Hungarian.
Right.
And it turns out the dude's actually British.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
he was what?
He was a decent enough bad guy. There was nothing wrong with him. You really didn't know if he was a Terminator or not at that point. But in this, you don't know who is and who isn't.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the charming things about this show. Because if you think about it, where were we in life at that point? We were just outside of 9/11.
Yeah.
And we are still terrified, even 6 years later, of sleeper cell agents. Because we've got American sleeper cell agents working for the enemy. So, I mean, they made that very relatable in this series. The Terminators that could show emotion and lie to people to infiltrate things.
Yeah,
Kinda.
even when we first met Cameron, she seemed like sweet. I'm like, oh, I don't remember her having like these first few minutes of being like this normal teenage girl, and then she gets robotic after she reveals herself as a Terminator.
Yeah, but her robotics were actually really funny. Again, I can't say enough awesome things about Cameron in this show. Her killing people so nonchalantly is just fucking charming to me.
Well, that reminds me of like when they were at the museum and when they were done and she got asked to prom and, they were setting it up and she's like, what are you doing over here? Oh, I killed somebody and I put him in the trunk of this car.
Yeah,
And he's
like
like, yeah, sure you did.
she's telling the truth.
She ain't lying. Oh my God. She's like,
I was laughing so hard just waiting for her to show John what was in the trunk.
and then she tells him, or no, the buddy tells him, your sister just said she killed somebody and put him in the trunk of the car. And then he looks like, oh shit, not again.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, we gotta get rolling. Mom wants us home. And he just hops in and he's like, do you know how to drive? Like, yeah, girl knows how to drive.
Leader of the future can't drive a stick. That was funny.
Yeah. You don't know how to drive a stick then.
Sarah shits on him like a mom too, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Which I thought there was some really awesome touches with character and relationships going on. I couldn't get enough of it, so I can't wait to get into season 2.
Yeah. And I want to see more of the family dynamic. I'd like to see more between Sarah and Cameron.
Yeah.
A little bit more of the character development there. Because Sarah treats Cameron the same way that Ripley treats Bishop in Aliens.
Yes.
There's that well-deserved hostility and distrust that won't go away. And Derek has it too.
It's an underlying theme. It's got to be there.
It's a scar at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like Ripley till the very fucking end when he gets ripped in half, it's like a horrible bitch to Bishop. And Sarah's a bit nicer to Cameron, but not a whole lot.
She's on guard is what she is.
Yeah. And I like that they showed the reason for that, because sometimes they just decide to go bad.
Right. Because they did prove that within the show is like, no, this one was good, but for some reason it went bad.
Yeah. And they say it so like, well, sometimes that happens. Kind of like the batteries died early.
Like a little too casual, like, hey, wait a minute, what's really going on here? So the show is constantly making you think about what is going on. So I really like that element. I think the writing in this was excellent.
Yeah, so far I'm not disappointed. There's been no filler whatsoever.
If there was, it wasn't much.
Yeah, it wasn't much, or it wasn't enough to make you think that there was filler. And maybe that was a good thing about the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened had the strike not happened? I mean,
we would have had a Christmas episode.
Yeah, right. Oh, Jesus, that would have been great. Blue and red glowing eyes for Holly. Yeah. Like I think once this happened, I spent the next 2 months watching Conan O'Brien try to spin his ring on his desk for God knows how many seconds. But
hey, I could do that. No, I'm kidding.
It was actually really entertaining. It was the best TV around. I wish this could come back. I wish, and again, I'll probably say this again next episode after we're done with part 2. This is where the movies should go. Yeah. They should really just like employ the writers of the show and just kind of take off from what they did from here. It doesn't have to be like a Serenity type thing where it's like aged in the future or however long. Just take that synopsis like you had and apply it in a different way. Kind of like we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Brimstone and Demon Knight.
Yeah.
You have those awesome principles that worked well in this, and you could take that, not rehash it, but apply it differently,
right?
And have it excel in a different format, and that's what this can do.
I completely agree. This is definitely what you use to launch your franchise back into theatrical. Like what they've done with Genesis and Dark Fate clearly did not work for much of anybody, despite their intents, of course, to make money, but you also want to make a good film and keep people coming back. But I honestly feel like this is the crew you want handling the franchise. They proved it with this first season, and they've done it with the second season, and then it was canceled, and for no good reason. And I'm already preparing for the cliffhanger at the end of season 2, which a lot of people don't like. So there's a little foreboding going on here. But you could do a Serenity style with this. You could give Thomas Dekker still acting, Summer Glau still acting. All of them are still actors. Why not give it a crack? One more round. At least let them finish up the story they were trying to tell. And if, what's the worst that happens? You give them like a little 3-episode miniseries or something. Take that money, give them an extra 20 million, make a goddamn feature film out of it, and cap it off. And if it really works, you've reestablished the franchise. You've got actors that are ready, willing, and able to like do what is necessary to make this successful. Lena Headey, she went on to do Game of Thrones. So, you can take the good with the bad. If it wasn't for Terminator not continuing, she probably wouldn't have gotten over to Game of Thrones and been Cersei. If it wasn't for this, who knows where Summer Glau would be. Lady's phenomenal. I would love to see her in more things. So we will see, but I would love to see more of this Terminator period.
I will be perfectly honest. I may have rewound her dancing scene like 2 or 3 times just because I found it so breathtaking.
She's stunning in it. And that's not in like the beautiful level. It's the motion. Like, girl knows what she's doing. Like, or she took some serious training, or she was one before.
She is a ballerina.
Okay, I did not know.
Yeah. And the expression of art that she portrays through movement is just fucking amazing. And I'm not one of the guys that's like, hey, let's go to the ballet. But in fact, I actually hate such a thing. But actually seeing it and respecting art for what it is,
yeah,
it's beautiful, because then you watch her do those dances and then do the same dance with guns. And it's an awesome action scene. And you're like, wow, they just put those 2 things together.
There's a certain grace to that. And it really was amazing to see that put to film.
Yes. And I'm glad that they let her do that in this show too.
Yes.
And like they must have known that like that was her niche. That was going to make a pop. That was going to go over really well. And God, they did it really well. You can't say that they overdid it. I mean, yes, there was more than one dance scene, but each one was intriguing and each one had its place. Like sometimes it was
absolutely.
funny. Yeah, sometimes it was funny. Other times it was intriguing, but it was never boring.
No.
Never ever boring. There was other things that I could fast forward through, like the stock footage, but I'd sit there and watch that dance scene 2 or 3 times. It was beautiful.
Yeah, well shot, well edited, well everything. Well, Kevin, got any more thoughts before we head over to social media?
No, I think we've covered everything in these 9 episodes so far.
Last I'll say is I absolutely
know
love
that we
the
have...
show, and I'm glad we covered it.
Yeah, I am too. Because like there's been things that we've looked back on going, oh, I liked that. Did we really?
We liked it, we didn't love it. You'll hear me
Yeah.
say that a lot, but that's usually the line between I'll watch it if it's on TV, but I won't put it on my shelf.
Yeah, kinda. And then there's other things where I won't watch it on TV, even if it is for free, like Exorcist 2.
Or I saw it just once and I am perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. All right. So over on the social media, it was pretty even this week as far as responses on Facebook and Twitter.
Who won? Was it Twitter or Facebook?
Let's see here. It was Facebook again this week. Just
Facebook
barely,
for
though.
the win. That's 2 in a row.
So first up, we had Thin Lion, who said it was a criminally underrated show. Lena Headey and Summer Glau kicked ass in that show. Ended on a goddamn cliffhanger, too. if I remember correctly, Garrett Dillahunt was solid too. Yeah, I would say so.
Awesome. Yep.
Now I'm just really like dreading that fucking cliffhanger. Because if it's anything like Smallville, you're just gonna be like, damn it!
I've seen so many horrible cliffhangers. I mean, I honestly don't remember the cliffhanger, so I'm actually going into this relatively blind. I don't
Hey.
actually think I watched the last episode. I think I only watched like a couple episodes of season 2, but there was a lot going on with me in 2008, so I'm not surprised I wasn't quite up on that.
Yeah, my mental health was in the shits too.
Yep.
Let's see here. Next up is Becca Haynes. Becca said, we watched it and liked it. It's not a perfect show, but it's entertaining. Lena Headey being the best part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, again, it is the Sarah Connor Chronicles. John plays a huge part, but there's nothing like seeing the mama bear whoop some ass with that fucking shotgun and combat boots. Like she rocked it.
They chose wisely in casting her, in my opinion.
Yes. And let's see. Jason Bacon says the show was so damn underrated. It could have gone on for a ton of seasons. What a great cast, and a guest star as Shirley Manson was terrific in it too.
Jackpot.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep, me too.
Again, I'm not like biggest Garbage fan, but I do like quite a few of their songs. So I'm kind of like, this is awesome.
Oh, I agree.
And then we've got Steve Neeson, who said way better than it had any right to be.
True.
I'm already agreeing with this one.
Yep.
Lena Headey and Thomas Dekker were just as perfect as Linda Hamilton and Edward Furlong. Double agreed.
Agreed.
Their characters developed beautifully and never in ways that betrayed the first two movies. One of the very best movie to TV adaptations, in my honest opinion.
I would fully agree with that one.
Yeah, I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other movie to TV series that worked as well as this did.
Most of them are a bust. It's usually the other way around, TV into movie adaptations.
The only other thing that I've seen that went from movie to TV that worked really well, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, what the fuck, was Lethal Weapon with Damon Wayans. Like, that was actually a pretty good TV version.
I never saw that. The one that comes to my mind is Logan's Run from back in like the late 70s, early 80s. And then I want to say I don't know if it really applies, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the original Battlestar Galactica, because that initially launched as a movie and then got turned into a TV show, with its movie being the first 3 episodes of the TV show.
Oh, okay. So
you're talking about like long ago. Anything like fresher, I mean, what's coming up is the John Wick TV show. It's based off the hotel. Shit, the Continental. And then no, it's just called the Continental. But then there's also a Blade Runner TV show coming out. I don't know if that's animated or live action though, off the top of my head. But they were going to do a live action Mega City 1 based off of the Dread movie.
Ooh.
But I think that Mega City 1 actually got canceled or shelved for the time being.
No, god damn it.
That would have been fucking cool, dude.
I want my Carl Urban back.
Well, he's in the boys. I got my Carl Urban fix going on, but I want my Dread back too.
For reals. All right. Next we said we've got Jason Samuels, who says, I'd be more interested in the movies if they decided to finally pick up on that cliffhanger ending from the show.
God damn it, Jason.
Everyone's shitting on the last episode.
Oh, no. This will be interesting.
Rudy Pache says, I thought it was a solid show. Totally legit.
Too legit to quit.
Yeah, but they did quit, motherfuckers. Well, no, they didn't quit. They got shit on.
They got quit on.
Yeah, otherwise they wouldn't be on our show, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we hop over onto Twitter at GeoCast13 says, I always saw it as an alternate universe to Terminator. It seems every movie in the franchise is a bit of that in a way.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, Shirley Manson is amazing, and I wish they'd brought her in sooner. I really think the series took too long to establish itself and tried too hard to be its predecessors.
I can see that. I don't necessarily agree with that, though. I think once they got past episode 3 and 4, felt like that's when they started to get a grip on what they were doing with their show. And I also think like the ending of the first episode where they jumped themselves 8 years into the future, I feel like that was the first spark of we're going to do something a little different here.
Yeah. And again, we've said this several times. A lot of TV shows don't know what the hell they're doing until the third episode.
Let alone third season for some.
Yeah. And then some of them, it takes to the third season out of 9 to finally figure out what the show's going to be, where its legs are. And this one, I don't know. I wouldn't even say this didn't even take to the third episode. It hit the ground running for me personally.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have at 52 Pullen, who says, hey, what blew me away was seeing my name on one of the tombstones in the cemetery scene. I thought it was going to be a big hit. Jack, that's pretty goddamn awesome. Glad to see that you're actually not in that cemetery, though.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah. I think in a way, it could have been a hit. This was kind of like Dark Shadows, where it could have been really good with its reboot, but then like everything else in life got in the way, and like its ratings weren't there to compete with everything else.
The Dark Shadows movie?
You mean? No, the TV series from 91.
Oh, that reboot. Okay. I'm like, the movie that wasn't bad.
That depends upon who you ask. I enjoyed it. But no, Dark Shadows and Flash both got canceled because of the first Iraq War. More people were turning in to Storm and Norman's things at the end and wanting to see the smart bomb footage than they were watching TV.
Yep.
So that's what happened to those two shows. And let's see here. Next, we've got Alice Wells, who says, I remember it all. It was one of the best TV shows on TV. I think it did the movies justice while providing a different immersive world that was just as exciting.
Ooh, well said, Alice.
Exactly. And then next, Josh Goldstein says, I thought it was really cool. I do too.
Yeah, me too.
I think most people did, except for Fox, because like we said, there's those executives that's like, no, we don't like that kind of violence.
Well, they also liked it enough to give it another season, so
yeah.
Yes and no.
And then we've got Scotty White, who says it's the best Terminator since T2. And then there were some spoilers that he got into for season 2, so I'm gonna omit those for next week.
Yep, we want you to tune in.
And then last, we've got Vertigo Inc., who says, I remember it being really good and everyone having a crush on Lena at the time. Everyone.
Hey, she was a great Linda.
I like her going back to like Brothers Grimm and before. She's just always been cool.
Lena is fantastic. What people think of her personally is whatever, but as an actress, she is great. She's very talented, and I think she's stunning. So I love her.
Yeah, she's our new Sarah Connor.
She definitely could have carried that mantle further.
Until she dies or we find another one that's better.
Yep. She's our queen. She's our queen. Sarah is who she is.
And again, that's not to say anything against Linda Hamilton or anyone.
No,
anyone or anything that's come before this.
But if you were looking for a modern take on the Sarah Connor character and Linda couldn't do it, didn't want to do it, whatever it was, this is perfectly fine. This is the modern version of what people would want out of Sarah Connor. So she delivered it in spades, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things that the last thing I probably have to say, I forgot. We talked a little bit about it on Sunday in the 0 Point review for the first Terminator movie. Just like with that movie, there are bits and pieces of obsolete technology in this show that was the apex in technology of its time. And in this series,
clear your browsing history.
There was the web browsers.
Yep.
And the phone of the future, the BlackBerry.
My God. I saw the BlackBerry and I'm like, I remember selling these when I worked at Office Max. Oh my God.
And the last BlackBerry went offline like 3 years ago or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. I totally would have owned one. Never really had a use for it.
Oh, that just made me laugh so hard. Like, it's the phone of the future, the BlackBerry. Meanwhile, I'm playing Magic the Gathering on my phone, my iPhone. So
Like your phone is way smarter than any phone from that era put together with 10 other phones.
oh yeah. Well, shit. Speaking of which,
If they did this show now, that'd be hilarious. But
the Turk would have been a hell of a lot fucking bigger than what they showed him in this show.
what kind of power they were describing? I'm like dual core, and I'm just like, oh my god, they have no fucking clue.
It'd be like all the fucking residents around a prison during execution time with the power going in and out.
I mean, I just got a new computer. I got like quad core here, and I'm like, shit, bitch, my computer could eat your Turk for breakfast.
No shit, and probably win the chess game. My infinity table has wizard chess, bitch. Do you have that, Turk? No.
No.
All right, but Jeff, that's all we got for social media this week.
All
Love
right.
for the show.
No, sounds good. Kevin, hey, that was Terminator Season 1, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Tune in for next week. We're going to start with the first part of 2 parts for Season 2. We're going to cut it in half. We want to be able to give it the attention it deserves, so we're not going to be glossing over too terribly much. So check us out, and we'll go ahead and see you next time.
Take care.
Later, bitches.
Ha